Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. We're on season 5, episode number 45. Andy, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. It's September 9th, 2024. We've crossed the Labor Day hurdle, and all the football landslide of football's coming our way here down the Avalanche. Baseball's wrapping up.
I think this weekend I stepped outside, neighbor lady outside having a little Mother Nature there, or cigarette. Right. I don't know what she's doing. Anyway, she sees me going out there. She's seen me the last few weeks going out. She goes, "Another baseball game today?" Nope, season's over. So we got a little misty when I had to say that, but yeah. But the neighbors watch out.
Yes, the major leagues is still going, but we're going to cover that a little bit because as the seasons are winding down, it impacts the major league teams as well. We'll get into that a little bit because the way they've got them staggered, I actually like the way they've got them staggered. So they shut down, and then as they get to the bigger
minor leagues, the
minor leagues are shutting down. 2 of them have already stopped for the season. The regular season playoffs are still intact.
One odd scheduling fact about the major leagues this year, everybody's playing everybody. It's kind of a balanced schedule. I was speaking with Pastor Adam on Sunday, church, and he brought up, he heard a stat that you try to play each team like 6 or 7 times, home and away, right? The Mets started the year against Milwaukee, and they'll end the year against Milwaukee. They're kind of bookending. As of yesterday, Milwaukee and Arizona have not played each other yet.
All right, and there's only 3 weeks left of the season.
Exactly. You figure they would have had but again, look at the Mets have played Milwaukee once. So Milwaukee's catching up on their odd end games here at the end of the month. But luckily for them, they had a nice big lead. So it's not going to be like, oh, I wish we were playing someone in our division to make up ground, or, at least
some of those races that were tight in the past because of that very thing aren't now anymore. The Twins finish against Baltimore. The Mets are facing a Central League team in Milwaukee. So there's the divisional rivalries. There's less of them. They're still involved in the some big series coming up, but not as many of them. And I don't know if that's right or wrong.
I got some stuff on tiebreakers later on when I get into my stuff on that. So
good. So trivia question today, no trivia question, but as we speak today, September 9th, if you follow Minnesota Amateur Town Ball or State Amateur Baseball, the Minnesota State Amateur Baseball. Yes, the biggest state in the nation is Minnesota Town Ball. Is where it's at with 280 teams playing. They're going to be doing some off-season hot stove updates and changes. Now, we're in the off-season because Labor Day was the last day of baseball, and so we're technically in the off-season. The conference or the region to follow, and we know it very well, Andy, it's the Crow River Valley League, the CRVL, the Crow River. And much of those impacts for next year, the postseason and the regular season, are going to be discussed at their meeting tonight. So Kip Kovar is there. Kip Kovar is a local journalist, Twitter feed guy that's in attendance covering those things, and he's making announcements as things are presented because tonight's the meeting. The only reason that's important is other conferences and leagues around the state that are going to have an impact, like the Crow River, are really watching this. They're trying to get the pulse of this meeting to see how it goes because they're going to kind of copy or mimic some of the things coming out of this meeting as well, because it may impact how they're doing. Some conferences and leagues, I think, will have no impact. There'll be moot point. But the ones in the Twin Cities or outside in the suburbs that are having all these changes for the 2025 season are going to be discussed tonight. The only 2 things, Andy, that have been announced so far at this meeting, and it's live, it's public because he's posted them, is the Crow River has 16 teams in the league, one of the biggest conferences, one of the biggest leagues in the state of Minnesota. Most have 10 or 12 teams. They have 16. Well, because of this shakeout, the North Star League, which is north of us, and the River Valley League, which is south of us, there's a lot of question marks in those 2 leagues. So they brought representatives to the meeting tonight. Arlington A's was one of them. And they wanted to file a motion to be granted into the Crow River to join them because they may not have a home next year.
Right.
Delano A's, one of the top teams in Class C, currently in the North Star League, may not know where they're going to be. And rather than wait till they're kicked out or got to go find a home, they came also to the meeting tonight and says, we want to be into the Crow River. They took votes on both of those, and both of those passed unanimously 16-0 to be in. So the Crow River, as we speak right now, is 18 teams, 18
and a couple A's.
So 2 A's, Delano A's, Athletics, Arlington A's. Arlington used to be in the Crow River years ago. Now they're going to be back in it. They're in the River Valley, and they got pummeled by Jordan all the time. And, Gaylord was in there, St. Peter, some other towns, Le Sueur Braves. And I think they kind of wanted to just come back closer to home maybe. But I don't know.
Well, a lot of people are saying they will come to 7 because it's kind of like in basketball, college basketball, you got that good conference. The Big Ten always sends 8 teams to the tournament. The SEC sends it because it's a tough conference. You want to be in that tough conference. So that might be where Delano and Arlington's points are too. We always sent 4 teams in 7C before. We'd send 4 teams to state. So you didn't have to win the 7C tournament. You had to be in the championship game of the loser bracket, I guess, playing for 3rd and 4th game. 3rd or 4th place, you got to go. Now, that's what these guys are going, hey, if we get 2 guys to go, if I trip on my own 2 feet in the playoffs, I can't go to state. So they want to, not saying they're going to be top 4 in our league, but they want a better shot. Yeah. Now, with that said, we have 18 teams. They're not all going to be C. We have A, B, and C in the same conference league,
same
region,
league,
whatever I call it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Different. And so as the show progresses here, we'll be monitoring our posts from Mr. Kip Kovar on what's going on and shed a little light. Not that we're going to give you everything, because we're going to have a show, an upcoming bonus
River Valley, though? I'm sorry, I hate to. Doesn't River Valley have B and C in their conference?
They do. They have an even amount of B and C. So there might be some kind of a deal like that, how they're doing it, but there's going to be 3 classes.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing before we start the show is that in the past, if you got moved up to A, B, or C, or moved down, whether you liked it or not, you were there for a 2-year window. A 2-year window, so they didn't have to be going back and forth all the time. Young America recently went up to B.
Ask them how that worked out. Yeah,
they went up there. They did the 2 years. It didn't work. They're coming back down to C. In 2025, Andy, the window's 1 year. That's it. If you don't like it, you can come down the very next year. You don't have to wait 2 years. So it's going to be a very fluid situation, but we'll get to more of that at the end of the episode in place of our trivia question. But let's start off with some sports, Andy.
Let's go to a little local news here I got.
Yes.
Get my thing. The Women's Professional Hockey League now has names. Minnesota's going to be known as the Frost.
Okay.
I kind of like some of the names they had. They were cool. Yeah. And I don't have S's in it for a lot of them, but as much as I don't like them, I'm going to accept the names. So Minnesota will be known as the Frost. The other one I like offhand is Boston's going to be the Boston Fleet. And you're going, what the hell is Fleet? Well, if you look at Boston, their stuff, the arena they play at is the Fleet Center. So it must be lots of shipping. Fleets come in. So there you go.
And
there's our logo. Minnesota Frost.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
I like it. That would be a pretty badass tattoo to get right there.
Yes.
Just saying. Some player quotes from this week in sports. Jaromir Jagr says, Jesus, I'm old. The question came up after finding out when he was drafted the same year one of his teammates was born.
Okay.
Jagger's still playing. He goes, Jesus, I'm old. Or, I mean, not Jagger. Ovechkin says, Jesus, I'm old. So he's been around. Ovechkin, the old man. Word is in a couple of years, if he's still playing, he could pass Gretzky for points. So,
oh, jeez.
And watch is on. The old man's going. Speaking of Jagger, here's Jagger on the social medias. An 18-year-old model threatened to leak a selfie of her and NHL superstar Jaromir Jagr in bed if he didn't pay up $2,000. His response, I don't care. You go, Jagr.
See, and that we've talked about this before, Andy. The problem is how they get compromised like this is when they fall susceptible to this.
And, he said, fine, post a picture. What do I care?
Yeah, that's what we need. We need more of this. I don't care.
First of all, $2,000 is nothing to him.
Do it.
It was
I'm not gonna, don't bribe me. And so this, I think it's good because this gal got what's coming to her here because she thought she'd make a quick buck on this. And he says, I don't care. Do what you got to do. And once again, now it doesn't make the news. If he holds up, it's a big stink on the mainstream media on TMZ. I love it.
Did you know Gordie Howe played professional hockey from 46 to 80 between his times in the NHL and the World Hockey Association? During that same time, Bobby Orr was born, played his entire NHL career, retired, and got elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. All where Gordie Howe was playing. Old guys rule. Old guys rule.
Oh, it is. It's wild.
And I saw this thing up. A guy, I think it was Fox, put up comparing NHL and NFL teams. The first one, Toronto and the Dallas Cowboys. Fans of these teams always claim it's their year just to have the team crumble in crunch time. But you look at it, they got Philly and the Raiders, Buffalo Sabres and the Jets, Boston Bruins and Packers. But they put the two Minnesota teams together, the Wild and the Vikes, and it's for the same reason. Two teams based in Minnesota with elite top-end talent who seem to be stuck in the middle of their league. And the sad thing is they're both in Minnesota, and you wonder why we drink here so much.
Yeah, I'll never forget that Minnesota Wild year when they said they're going to go out and get Suter, right? Ryan Suter.
Yeah, they got Suter and they got
Parise.
And
I remember the offseason was with, boy, our dreams could come true if we just get one of those. If we could just get one of those guys, we're going to win the Stanley Cup.
I don't think we even made the cup with them.
No. They didn't. And they said it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. But all we can do is open the checkbook, get one of those guys, and we're going to be in the Stanley Cup. Next thing you know, in back-to-back weeks, they announced we signed them both. I think the top two free agents in the whole NHL, we got them. How rare and random is that?
Local boys, too.
Local guys, get the checkbook out, get them both, and we don't go anywhere, and people now long forgot about it. It is interesting.
The division rankings for D1 football. South Dakota still 1, North Dakota still 2 because they both won. Montana State 3. But if you look at the Mighty Grizz dropped to 9 after a loss to Idaho.
Okay.
Idaho.
Yep.
And if you're looking for buys and players as you watch NFL teams over the weekend, here's a list of all current active players in NFL that are former Bison. You got Carson Wentz as the backup in Kansas City at quarterback. Cowboys have Trey Lance and Hunter Lemke. Of course, Cody Mauch with Tampa Bay. Easton Stick with the Chargers. Christian Watson with the Packers. Those are names you hear a lot because they're offensive players. If you're a lineman geek and you like the linemen, there's a handful of those guys on there too you can follow.
Now, Andy, how about the fullback last year that was drafted?
Yeah, that was Hunter Lemke. He's listed at running back for Dallas.
Oh, he's relisted as a new position as a
running back, not a fullback. Yeah,
he was drafted as a fullback. Okay, yeah, I remember him. That's a good.
I don't think the NFL uses fullback anymore as a term.
They don't?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
There is no more Daryl Johnstons in the world or Jimmy Kleinsaucers in the world.
Okay, CJ Ham. What is he? I'll look it up.
He's listed as everybody else is tired going for a play.
Okay.
And the Beavs ranked up to number 23 after a win this weekend. So there you go. Full standings are on our social media pages for everybody on that. Here's a baseball stat for you. Since the All-Star break, Louis Arise, 180 at-bats, 2 strikeouts.
That's phenomenal. And that's one of these players. I'm not going to say he's a generational talent, but he's up there. There's not many people that come close to this.
And, the thing I respect about his game so far is, and maybe it's because baseball's not as big to other people in the media. You see these numbers he's putting up, but you don't hear the comparisons to Gwynn or Rod Carew or Yaz. They're just letting Louis be Louis. And I really like that. They're not pressuring. It's like, oh, these are numbers like this guy or this guy. No, these are Louis numbers. So he's kind of right in his own path.
It's phenomenal stuff.
All right. Bring some other Mets news like I teased earlier. I was looking at stuff on MajorLeagueBaseball.com the other day, or MLB.com. They went over all the teams in the playoffs and what their tiebreaker scenarios are.
Okay.
I don't have the standings up because with 3 weeks to go, in my opinion, the playoffs are set. Everybody's just jockeying for position in the American League.
Okay.
I really don't think Boston or Detroit are going to catch Minnesota at 3.5, 4 games out. I really don't. In the National League, it is the Mets and Braves kind of fighting for that last playoff spot. Arizona's only got like a 1 or 2 game lead on them, and San Diego's close, but those 4 are fighting for that last playoff spot. The Mets are 5-5 against the Braves, and they still have a series to go. And the Mets hold the advantage on every tiebreaker what those teams are tied with, those teams in the playoffs. So if the Mets tie, they got the tiebreaker. So not saying that they're going, whew, all we got to do is tie. You want to be second or third seed, don't get me wrong, or first seed. But they kind of have that little ace in the hole.
I like it.
I don't know if this was an ace in the hole or not. It was a little bittersweet kind of good thing. I'll get that later. Here's their team picture with their OMG. They put that up.
I like it.
There they are. Injury report. Jeff McNeil is out for the season with a wrist injury. I love Jeff McNeil. I love him as a player. He's a good gutty player. He's batting .220. So this injury kind of gets the whole, oh yeah, he's great with a glove. He plays second and right field, but we got these other guys who can play second and right field, but you never know. And it was injured, so that kind of takes that question mark off the plate. So
yep. Fair enough.
Speaking of injuries, Wade Boggs put on his social media that he is now going through prostate cancer treatment. So that's just a little note for guys. We're not going to wait and ride the October breast cancer or cancer awareness. You shouldn't need a month or a week or a day to get checked for cancer or get checked for anything. Something's wrong, get it looked at. You don't wait and get your brakes checked during National Car Brake Week, do you? No.
Good point.
Something else isn't feeling right or working, get it checked out. The WNBA. Yes, I'm going to talk about Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
But first, here's her coach. Christy Sides gets Coach of the Month. If you remember when the season first started and Indiana started out bad, they thought she should have been fired after game 1. People wanted her out of there. She should have been fired after the first week. People wanted her out of there. Huh. Coach of the Month now.
See, in that Indiana team, if you look at the standings, maybe you have it coming up, but that's a team to be reckoned with. I mean, they are very good.
I was talking to someone yesterday, again at church, because he's a big Iowa guy, so we're talking about Caitlin Clark, and I said, the best thing for Indiana was her not making the Olympics. She got to rest. Because they went to the Final Four for girls basketball, and then the season started soon after that. So she's been go, go, go. Indiana had a bunch of games to start with. Kind of the conspiracy theorist in us came up going, did she refuse an Olympic spot just to get the rest?
Yeah, that really helped. Those 2 or 3 weeks was a jackpot.
She has been in fuego, as Dan Patrick used to say.
Yes.
And speaking of, 2008 Rookie of the Year, there you go. She got both Rookie of the Year and MVP. And here's Caitlin's numbers are kind of comparable. So is she going to get Rookie of the Year and MVP? Who knows? Show correspondent Charles B. checking in with us here.
Yes.
They couldn't have effed this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried. He is just so upset with the WNBA, how they haven't taken this golden child media-wise and run with it. How he's just Charles being Charles, but he just can't figure out how you could blow this opportunity every chance you get.
Do you agree with Charles?
Yes.
Yes, so do I. 100%.
In
fact, I love this quote because they had this golden egg land in their lap.
Yep.
And you have nothing to do.
Media loves her.
Blow up by
People
itself. And they tried so hard to push this way and that way and this way and push to get the narrative that the WNBA wanted and the theory that they wanted and the old school players, but then it ended up coming out just as spewing all this hatred and waiting for Caitlin to fail. That's all they wanted, waiting for her to fail. How can we ensure that she fails because she's not one of us? And that's what he's getting at here. They screwed it up. They couldn't have done it any worse if they tried.
I'll just put WNBA. First of all, the NBA. I know what their target audience is for the NBA when they have their commercials. We've said it before. They are not targeting the 50-plus-year-old white guy, okay? And fine. I'm not saying you have to be my market audience. But their advertising has nothing to do with me. The way they've done the three-point shooting and all this other stuff, it's all for the younger youth, which is fine and great. But that's why I don't watch it, because you're not in my wheelhouse. I don't get it. I mean, I get it, but it doesn't interest me. It's not something I want to watch. I still love the game of basketball, but when all your commercials and all your ads are going to be stuff that I don't buy or I don't use, I'm not going to waste my time watching. WNBA is kind of, they're still playing Caitlin's commercials because you can't turn those down for Gatorade or State Farm or whatever else. Sorry, Ryan and PJ, but as much as I'm sick of the State Farm commercials, they're there. But the WNBA is trying to push kind of what the NBA is, a lifestyle, a target audience lifestyle they want. If you're not this, you should be watching us. You're this, the NBA. You're not an inner city youth, 18 to 25. Why are you not watching the NBA? That's their audience, or 18 to 35. I mean, WNBA has their audience. The LGBT community, that's who they want to focus on, which is all fine and great. They're more than welcome to watch the games. But you know what? There's other people who enjoy women's basketball who want to watch it, but you're boring me with the advertisements for that stuff because it's not me. Advertise everything for everybody to watch.
So you were never a big NBA fan, and so it had no impact when they started changing things that didn't move the needle.
Yeah, I was an NBA fan until Jordan retired, and then I
was a big fan of WNBA, Andy, for many years.
Yes, since day one.
Since day one. And now what you're saying is that you're getting the pushback that you found yourself becoming less of a fan because of all of these things. And so
I got to go to YouTube highlights to watch. I got to read articles to get highlights because the game highlights, I don't want to watch the games. I don't want to hear the slide talks. I don't want to hear the this and that.
So that's what Charles is getting at, is by saying you can try to get a new market if you want. That's fine.
Yep.
But don't turn off the existing market. And that's what they're doing. They're turning away fans who've been longtime WNBA fans because of these decisions that they've made. That's the biggest impact, is that they're losing the fans they already had.
Right. And, say what you will about whatever. I don't care about your lifestyle. You want to do whatever lifestyle, watch a game, you want to show a commercial for whatever, great. I don't need to see X number of commercials for if I'm watching an NBA game. I don't need to see X number of commercials for just Nike shoes all the time. I don't wear Nike shoes. Again, I'm a 50-year-old white guy. I need arch supports. I need other things. I don't need my gym shoes. I'm not saying show a Ford truck commercial every now and then. Show a Coors Light beer commercial. Show other markets that might be watching you.
Yeah, and they do. I'm sure they get those offers, but which are the ones that they're taking and accepting?
Right.
They're saying no to the ones and saying yes to the other ones. So,
yeah,
I agree with what Charles said. Is she growing the game? Yes. Is there more fans than ever in the WNBA? Yes. But could the WNBA as an organization done better to kind of let it just play out and let it just grow without trying to pigeonhole fitting this square into a circle plug and not, it doesn't fit. And then what you're doing is turning off all these other fans as well.
Look at I'm going to put my advertising stereotype cap on. Caitlin Clark from Iowa, University of Iowa, playing in Indiana, heartland of America. You can't get her to do a Ford or Chevy commercial, for God's sake. Oh my God. You want to watch sales? Boom. There.
Yeah, there's certain things that anything
cheeseburger Culver's or something
is going to turn gold. And once again, it's not the best player this year. It's not the top player this year. We're talking about a generational talent that people can't get their head around. Generational talent. You're not going to have this every single year. You're not going to have this every 10 years. This is a generational thing. So that's where the big thing comes in. They only had their chance once to get it right. And what Charles is saying is that they tried too hard to do it a certain way and it failed, and you're not going to get that opportunity now again for a while. Are there other good and great players coming up? Yes, there's a huge talent coming up. But this was the one that you had, and you had time. You knew it was coming. You could have had all the planning in the world to get this thing right. And that's what he's saying, that they tripped over their own feet in every single thing they did.
This ain't even my soapbox, folks. Yeah,
and it's a great one because you and I watch this stuff, and you turn on the ads or even ESPN or scroll on your phone every day, every single day. There's a Caitlin Clark story in the news every single day, and usually an Angel Reese and something about that. Every single day, there's something about that. So we've never seen that in the past.
Cameron Brink of the Los Angeles Sparks was injured back in June. She hasn't played a game since June. Finally, another rookie has passed her in blocks for the season.
She had so many.
If she was still healthy, the numbers she'd be blowing up right now.
Yeah.
And speaking of, I don't have the story on here now. Angel Reese is injured and out for the year.
Go back to that screen. I think it flipped back.
That's the standings.
Okay, got it.
That's the teams who aren't in the playoffs yet. Top 8 make it. So there's everybody fighting for that last spot. Angel Reese of the Chicago Sky is injured and out. Depending on what site you go to, some people are saying they're glad she's out because they're sick and tired of her padding her stats with a 3 missed shots, rebound, 2 points. Oh, look at all the doubles I got. But look at how many of those rebounds are her own missed shots from underneath.
But the rebounds, once again, are a stat, and she's doing good, and she's got the record. Now, the big thing all season long was who's going to win the Rookie of the Year, because Caitlin's been the media is Caitlin. And they said, now is their chance for the Rookie of the Year. Finally, Angel can win something. She gets hurt with 2 weeks left of the season. She's done for the year. Basically, Caitlin can just play average, and it's going to land in her lap, the Rookie of the Year. So once again, she's going to win that now too. And there's going to be.
Yeah. And some people are even saying that Angel Reese is faking the injury because that way she could lose Rookie of the Year and it won't be like, I played a whole year and didn't win it.
I've seen that too. And if there wouldn't be all this pressure, we wouldn't have all these shenanigans.
But they play
both having great years.
They play 40 games in WNBA. Dallas and Los Angeles are eliminated. These last 3 are going for 1 spot. There's 2 games separating them. Let the fun begin.
Now, are you going to touch on the Lynx at all?
The Lynx did clinch, and they're in. As far as I know, everybody's healthy. They're still sitting in the 2 or 3 seed right now. A lot of these are all waiting to see what filters out this week. My fantasy WNBA team, I am out of it. So my following has not been as strong for all the players. I'm just kind of watching the playoff race here now then.
So the Lynx, 5 games left, regular season games, and I think the rest of the teams have about that. So a week, 2 weeks, 10 days, whatever. There should all be wrapping up.
Yep. They only got about 5 games to go, yeah.
And then the playoffs, the postseason will start, and that's when it will get certainly fun.
Yes. NASCAR started their playoffs this last week. Joey Logano won the first race. They do 3 races, and someone's out. He won, so he will advance on. As of right now, Kozlowski, Burton, Truex Jr., and Briscoe are out. But there's still 2 more races. See what happens. Winning, you advance. Now, this does not mean Joey Logano advances to the finals. He just advances from the round of 16 to the round of 12.
Yep. To the next round.
At the round of 12, the wins are all gone. You start over. And Chase Elliott's in 8th. Just like I predicted he'd win the whole thing. So far, I still look like a genius.
Yes.
A word from our coach. This is from a baseball coach, not a football coach, but still great coach anyway. Dave Winfield, the Hall of Fame outfielder, playing for the Yankees in 1983, was arrested for killing a seagull with a thrown ball. The cop who arrested him and the fans who witnessed the event claimed that Winfield hit the ball deliberately. But Yankees manager Billy Martin questioned whether Winfield possessed the necessary accuracy. cruelty to animals, that's the first time he said the cutoff man all year.
That's a great Billy Martin quote.
That's Billy Martin right there.
It's deflecting at the same time, misdirection there, and it's also comical and some self-deprecating humor.
Yeah, but that was a game in Toronto at the old outdoor stadium there. The Seagulls came in. They used to have issues. Ground ball outfield. Winfield picks up the ball and throws it. It's like with Randy Johnson pitching, hitting that bird and killing it in spring training. You can't do that if you tried. Winfield, super athlete, drafted in 3 sports. Oh my God, super athlete. Could not hit a moving bird if he tried. I guarantee it.
That was good, though. I mean, not good, but it was. I remember when that day hit.
Yep.
It was all over the news because how random and what a bad guy.
They arrested him. They had to arrest him. Oh my word.
In cuffs.
Here's your homework assignment for the sports edition. Get your trusty number 2 pencil out. Would Tony Gwynn have hit 400 if he'd been a full-time DH? This all comes up right now with a lot of talk of, Ohtani's going to get 50-50 and he needs MVP. And my bid is he's a DH. 50-50, great. Could he have done that if he was pitching once a week? And see, that's the thing. He either pitches or DHs. Put his can back in the outfield and play. Can he still do 50-50 if he was in the outfield every day? I don't know.
That's a good discussion right there.
I don't know. Could Tony Gwynn, I remember when they expanded and added the Rockies and Marlins, he projected someone would hit 400 because he goes, you're adding 2 more teams. You're depleting the talent.
Diluting.
You got a lot of pitchers come up that should be AAA pitchers now pitching in the majors.
Yep.
And now for the soapbox.
Oh, this should be good.
AEW had their all out this last weekend. They had a couple matches on there people are complaining about. First of all, 3 matches. One they're not complaining about so much, but it was a women's match. Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale in a Chicago street fight. These women went all out with tacks, with nails, with broken glass, with broken light bulbs over their head. It was like a men's street fight match. The MVP of that match goes to Chris Statlander. I do not have pictures of these things because some were just not safe for me to put up. She went for one of her signature moves is she drops her leg across the back of your neck. So she comes down doing the splits. She was going to do that to Willow Nightingale on the thumbtacks, and Willow moved. So she came down doing the splits on the thumbtacks. If she didn't get a little extra bonus in her paycheck for that, something's wrong. There was a match between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Now, these two is where some people are having issues with it. In the match, at the end, Adam Page put a syringe in the other guy's mouth, shot something in his mouth, and hit him with a chair, and they just called the match right there. Putting a syringe in. They had a cinder block in the match they were dropping each other on top of, and that was okay. But the syringe, that was too much, in their opinion. In the final match with Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, he wins. The other guys come in to jump him, beat him up. They put a plastic bag over his head to suffocate him and knock him out. Now, that's too much. That's too much. I don't know what part of pro wrestling you all forgot. I guarantee there was nothing in that syringe but maybe water. You know? Yeah, the cinder blocks were really dropped each other on. I'll give you that. The plastic bag, pretty sure he had some ventilation there. They weren't going to do that because that's, again, Winfield threw a ball and hit a bird. They arrested him. If he's really choking a guy with a plastic bag and the cops didn't come in the ring right away, it's part of the bit. It's part of the deal. Get over it. Was it over the line? Sure. I'll give you that. Sorry if you don't like it. But part of pro wrestling, it was rated TV 14. They knew what was coming up. And they still gave it only a TV 14 rating. So the soapbox is it's pro wrestling. Did they go too far? On some parts, maybe. On other parts, don't know. It's all a judgment call. That's over the line. But we could have televised prostitution on. I mean, The Bachelor on, and that's okay.
Well, it is titled All Out. And so once again, it's implying that there's no lines. There's no lines. But yet you whine about going
people
over.
want to complain about it, and you know what? Look at all the free press they're getting.
And
I just gave them 3 minutes of press.
That whole part was probably part of it as well. The backlash.
Oh yeah.
And
they knew they knew people would get all uppity about this. That was all part of the deal. And it kind of got rid of some of the other problems going on in that show right now, or in that association. Everybody forgot about all the other issues because now they're talking about this.
It's interesting stuff. So all I've got is we've got some NFL football, Vikings, a lot of doubts coming into the season, a lot of, for a lack of a better word, a lot of hate on Sam Darnold and what's all going to happen. And now you get this game, and the guy was playing flawless in the first 3 quarters, threw a couple incomplete passes later. The Vikings looked good. Everything looked sharp. Now, keep in mind, the Giants are they're not that good. The Giants are one of the worst 5 or 6 teams or 7 in the league, so they're not that good. Now, does it help to get a win like this on the road?
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of who it's against? Yes. So it's going to get the momentum and everything back a little bit. Here's the problem. Now they got the 49ers next game. And after
McCaffrey's out tonight. Christian McCaffrey's out for the Niners tonight.
Okay.
I know because he's on my fantasy team, so I cried a little bit before this when I saw that.
You did, yes. And so, the Vikings have the 49ers, the Texans come to town, then they go to Green Bay, Lambeau. And so it's
now that Green Bay game's not as tough either because Love is injured.
Okay.
There's some
favorable things mixed in, so it could turn out to be an average year versus a crappy or low average year. It might just be average now, but it was fun to watch that first game. As a Vikings fan, there's really not to cheer about a lot in the last couple of years. That was actually a fun game where all these goofy oddball things all went right for once instead of
the college football trifecta that happened. I forgot to bring up the college football trifecta. There was very much joy here in the Andy household. Michigan, Iowa, Notre Dame all lost on the same Saturday.
See?
I couldn't ask for anything else.
How random is that? How good is that to get the trifecta?
Yeah, I was ecstatic.
So for college football fans, we've got now what I call, Andy, these first 2 games done, and the teams all have 3, basically your exhibition games. So we have one more week of whether you call them meaningless.
Not really exhibition because Michigan lost to Texas, the number 2 team in the country.
Yes. And so
your non-conference
games, but now you get the final week of these random games, and then it's conference time to lock into the conference, and then we won't see these games again until the bowl season, these non-conference.
Some people said, since they're going to 12 teams, they're saying Wyoming's finally got a shot. They'll make it. They lost to Idaho, who's playing D1 or D2 football. So
it is.
Threw that up.
Gophers lose their first game with the goalpost blunder, the fireworks going off. They come back and win 48-0 the next week. This week is going to be quite interesting because now they play Nevada, and even though it should be a win.
But after last week, nothing's a shoulda.
They have a very interesting offensive scheme for Nevada, and it's going to be tough for the defense, I think, to pick up on that because it's a wild, kind of the Wild West. So it'll be interesting to watch from a fan, I think, to watch that game. But Gophers should win, but it's going to be different. It's not going to be a slam dunk win. It's going to be fighting, clawing just to get the win, I think. And then if that, they get Iowa come to town, and it's all starts. So the last thing is baseball. Minor league baseball, Andy. Class A, low A, and high A have ended. That is, for the listeners out there, the regular season is over for minor leagues. There's still a round or 2 of postseason, some playoffs, depending on if you won the first half of the season or the second half. So those things are going on now. AA they're in right now the final week of the season. 1 series left. That for AA. And then AAA, there's 2 series left. And in Major League Baseball, essentially 3 weeks left. So there's a tapered event as far as how that happens. Now, the Twins organization, their top prospect is Walker Jenkins. So the news today was that he got this big promotion to AA.
Yep.
So just keep in mind that single A is done. Did he get promoted? Yes, but they're not playing anymore. And so now you get the chance to say, look, I want to see him just for 1 week in a AA uniform to see what he can do, so we can kind of gauge him a little better. Let's move him up to AA. So yes, it's a promotion.
Work with different coaches.
But the season's done at single A. So anyone who's getting a promotion at this end at the time of is because there's no more games left. So if you want to see, you have to move them up. So kind of a promotion, kind of not, but it'll be fun to watch how he does this next week. But the AAA Saints have 2 more weeks left. The Twins have 3 weeks, and we'll see what all goes on from there. Now back to our final topic.
Yes.
Crow River Baseball. So, Andy, there's now 18 teams in the Crow we talked about at the top of the show. No one's thinking about leaving or departing. So I think they're stuck at the 18. And what they want to do now, as the show has been going on, the only thing I saw is how many games do you play against the non-division that you're in? Now, we're still in the same league, Crow River Valley League. And so the plan is to play, if you're in B, play the other B teams twice, home and away. But they all voted to say, I still want to play the C teams once. We still want to keep the rivalries. The C teams,
teams like we play with Coney,
want to play the other C teams twice, home and away. But they said, we still want to play the B. We still want to play the A. We want to still keep our games. So from a perspective of a fan, the Crow River Valley League should be roughly the same. You're still going to be seeing the same teams and opponents. Less of some teams, more of the others, and you're going to see Delano and Arlington brought into the mix. And so the last thing they're talking about here that I don't know the answer on yet is if they wanted to go to a standings, they're talking about some type of a hockey standings. If you're a C team and you beat a C team, that's 1 point. But if you beat a B team, they want to say, we want 2 points in the standings.
Yep.
If we beat an A, we want 3. We want to have a weighted standings. And same goes the other way. When you're playing down a division, you've got to win that game. If you don't, it's got to make it hurt twice as much if you lose to a C when you shouldn't. So they're talking about that. This hasn't been approved or added or approved or anything yet. They're just talking about it. But they want to find a way to not just win-loss, but how to weight those points against the better teams, because they want to keep it all one league, one division for the regular season. And then the postseason comes, they're all going to split up and go their own way. But I thought that was kind of interesting. They've got so many things to talk about.
Yeah.
We haven't even discussed ourselves, but we're going to save all those things for
that could be their tiebreaker, maybe how you did against C or how you did against A.
And maybe that'll be the tiebreaker, because they've got all these games to play. So that'll be interesting. Once again,
the only thing I could say is you want to keep the B and B and C and C. I get all that. I just hope they have it where, all right, last 2 weeks of the year, sorry, Watertown, you can't play with Coney because that's a B against A. You play just B teams those last 4 games.
I see. So ramping it up when playoffs come.
So if you got to make up ground, you can in your own division. It's
meaningful games at the end.
I got 3 C teams left. How am I supposed to make up ground against other B guys, So,
and each of these teams still has the right to schedule their own games on the side against non-conference, non-division, their other schedule. But there's going to be a required
Shakopee or Bemidji or New York Mills, whoever they want to play. Yeah,
they can still play those other games. And then if teams are moving up to A or moving up to B, the state board still requires them to play X number of games there at that level. Also, I don't know what those numbers are, but.
They're going to change that. Don't go on last year. Everything's all blown up.
It's all going to be different. So once these things all get announced, we're going to have an upcoming bonus episode, a roundtable, if you will, talking about all these bullet points, because there's going to be so many things changing in town ball that we're going to dedicate an entire show just for that.
Follow Kip Kovar on the Twitter or X or whatever you call it. He'll get it straight from the horse's mouth. You can follow our site. But it's going to be about a half hour later after we see him tweet it and we retweet it and stuff like that. So
he's the guy to follow.
Straight and fast. Go to Kip Kovar on X. Good man. Friend of the show.
Yes.
And
Kip certainly is. Good guy.
Tell him
that's all I've got for sports.
That's all we got. Next week will be more WNBA playoffs will be starting. We'll have more of that in. Another round of NASCAR playoffs will be in. Hockey stuff is going to start pretty soon here. College hockey is getting all underway. College basketball going to start in a few weeks. Getting all excited for that fun stuff.
And I think the PWHL, the teams that were announced, the new nicknames and stuff, they did announce those, but I saw somewhere that it's going to be a week or two before the apparel will be on sale to go buy the jerseys, to buy the.
There is sites. If you go to the PWHL site, you can see them all.
Yeah, you can see
you
them.
might order. You're not going to get it right away. You put your order in, but yeah.
And the season doesn't start yet for a while, but so they're really hot to trot on those things. Give it some time; those will be out there to buy, and you can impress your friends with the latest jerseys when you go to the games for the fans there. Minnesota's the reigning champ, by the way.
Give it time for Christmas.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.